guys, welcome back to another video. This is Shonnie V, and I am here to talk about my breastfeeding journey. I'm going to talk about my breastfeeding journey in this video with my two previous children and touch on my breastfeeding journey so as of now with the Jeremiah. Little disclaimer, I just wanted to say I'm not an expert. I have experience helping other moms nurse because I have worked in postpartum and special care and NICU, but I'm not a lactation consultant. I'm sharing my experience so that it may help, or maybe if we're going through the same things, or maybe it helps you think of questions to ask your doctor or your LC. At the end of the day, fed is best, however that may look for you and your baby. So here it is. So let's talk about my breastfeeding journey. With my first child, his name is MJ. You guys might remember MJ and his playlist from over almost 12 years ago now. So with him, I did tell my birth story. I will link his playlist in this video. But initially, I was a nursing student. When I was pregnant with him, I was in nursing school, and so I went through my maternity rotation and all of that. I researched breastfeeding, about latching and how to do it. I actually did a video on it a long time ago, almost 12 years ago, and I could link that video here too. But all this research because I was really set on breastfeeding him. However, my breastfeeding journey with him did not go the way I envisioned it to go, and that happens to a lot of us, where we think once our pregnancy, our birth, and the birth, and then the breastfeeding part of it, everything will be one way, but it ends up being another way, and that's what it was with MJ. So after he was born, I did the skin to skin that they recommend. However, there was so much going on. I had so many medical personnel and family and in the room and I was kind of a real shaky after the epidural and everything. And also I was getting sewn up and everything. And so I did the skin to skin until I was too shaky to where I thought I couldn't hold him securely. But then nobody really initiated or said, hey, do you want to breastfeed? Or let's get him latched. Even once I got situated, I didn't try to breastfeed him until I got to the postpartum room, which wasn't long after delivery. I honestly don't remember latching him at all in my labor room. Once I was able to get him to latch, I believe I had the nurse's help. I don't really remember. I remember doing a lot of it myself, and I had it was really painful for me because he wasn't latched properly. But then not only was it painful, but I had bleeding, and it was horrible. But I was just kind of, at the time, I thought, well, if this is what I have to put up with just to give him the best, what's best for him, I will do it. And so that's what I did. After that, I had a lactation consultant come in. She was really nice, but she saw how I was latching him, and she corrected the latch, and she actually latched him on to the point where it didn't hurt. And I was like, wow, it doesn't hurt at all. I was like, I don't know how to do this. And so she said, well, let him feed. She gave me a hand pump. She says, I'll come back and I'll show you how to latch him, and I'll show you how to use this hand pump. And this is before the time that pumps were covered by insurances. So this is when you had to buy a pump, privately, not through your insurance. But so she did that, and then she didn't return. And I was kind of I struggled through it the rest of the day. And then when it came time for his circumcision, I was after the circ, I was he wouldn't latch, of course. And also, you know what? I had to get comfortable with breastfeeding. So I had visitors, and I wasn't comfortable yet, saying oh, I need to breastfeed him, or, I didn't want to just pull everything out and breastfeed him. So, but that wasn't why I switched to the bottle. I switched to the bottle because after his circumcision, he was so upset he wouldn't latch. And I was like, you know what? Let's just give him the bottle. I just want him to eat, and I don't want to you know, he's already been through something traumatic. I don't want to like be sitting here struggling and trying to feed him, and he's not, you know, he's not able to latch comfortably. And so that's when I chose the formula feed. And then I did try to latch him when we got home, and it didn't work. And then I tried to latch him when he got a little bit older, and it didn't work. So, and at that point, I still hadn't figured out how to use a I didn't figure out how to use a pump, the hand pumps at all. So I just didn't have the support there to figure out how to do breastfeeding. And then at the time, my husband, we had one car, and he was the only one working. So it was like, even just to like go somewhere for them to like help me out was like not feasible either. So Jay ended up being tongue-tied, and I didn't find out until a lot later when he started to speak. And actually, he just had a frenuluectomy in 2020. So yeah, so that was probably a lot of his problem. Then with Malachi, so Malachi is my second born. So with him, I was already a nurse. I believe I was not working in postpartum yet with him. So I was still new at, you know, this whole thing, but I was determined to breastfeed. And I was like, I don't care what it takes. I'm going to do it. And so we did skin to skin. I did try to latch him. I made it known to the L&D nurses that I wanted to breastfeed, and the postpartum nurses. And Malachi was born a little after midnight, whereas MJ was born, it was about 11 the next day, 11 a.m.-ish on his birthday. So so Malachi was born after midnight, so there was not a lactation consultant that night. And so the nurses had to help me, and they ended up giving me a pump and showing me how to put it together. They gave me a nipple shield as well, and so that way I could use that to help him latch, and he was able to eat from the nipple shield. So that part did work, and I was able to get milk colostrum out with the hospital pump. I also had a pump that I got through the insurance, which I had the Medela pump. I forget the exact name of it, but it's like a travel one. It comes in like a black case. So I had that at home just in case, you know, if everything went kind of wonky, then I had a backup. And so in the hospital, he directly breastfed the whole time. The only thing is with Malachi was that he was losing weight, or he lost weight by the time we went to the doctors, and his bilirubin levels was high. So I don't really know how high it was at the time, but he does, some of the pictures when I look back, I'm like, yeah, he looks yellow. And so with him, I had to breastfeed, but then they wanted me to supplement him, like top him off with formula. I had you know, trouble latching him without a nipple shield. I had to supplement him, like I said, which wasn't a big deal. It was just like breastfeeding him first, and then following up with the bottle afterwards, and letting him take what he'll take. And then I believe I had to do that for a couple weeks. It wasn't long. I don't really remember how long, but the doctor said I didn't have to use formula. You know, I didn't have to use formula. I could latch him, and then I could pump milk, and then just after he's done directly breastfeeding, I could top him off with the pump milk. So it wasn't so much that he needed the formula, it was just like he needed more volume. He wanted to make sure he was getting enough to kind of help push that bilirubin, get that bilirubin down. But with Malachi, since he was the first one that I actually breastfed, it was frustrating using the nipple shield. Like the nipple shield was, well, you know, you wash it after each use, and then you have to have it in a clean spot. And then I had a station set up. I was mostly on the couch with him because it was just easier to put the boppy pillow on, and then it was or a pillow to do the football hold and feed him. But it was frustrating at night because if I lost it, or I couldn't find it in the middle of the night, or even if I could find it, I couldn't see to put it on. And so I would have a light on, but it was just a lot more difficult at night, trying to do everything at night and you're like half asleep. And then Malachi also, when he was mad, like when he was pissed off, like he would not latch whatsoever. Like he'd be shaking his head and like screaming at the top of his lungs. And I didn't have like milk in, when we were just at home, I didn't have milk in bags. Like I would pump into the bottles and the little Mandela bottles and then pour it into a regular bottle. I didn't have like the milk bags or whatever. So it was like I had to latch him or else. And so that was, you know, or else he didn't have anything to eat. And so it was like anxiety producing for me, because I was just like, oh my gosh, like I need to feed him, but I can't feed him. I can't, you know, then you put the nipple shield on and you get it on correctly. But by the time you know, get him and try to get him to latch, either he's mad and he's shaking his head and it knocks the nipple shield off. So you got to start all over again, making sure it's on, or you know, you get them latching and everything goes perfect. But that didn't happen a lot. Well, it didn't. I don't know. It was that those first few weeks home was just so nerve-wracking because it was just difficult. And then I believe one of those times, it was daytime, and so my sister was over. She breastfed my niece for almost 2 years. So anyway, she took my nipple shield. So she's like, you don't need it. You just, you know, just latch him on. Because at this time, I believe Malachi was a little older. And I was like, you know, I was so mad. I was like, give it back. And that's, you know, I was mad. And so anyways, she didn't give it back. And so I ended up going ahead and latching him. And he latched, and I didn't look back after that. So Tree, if you're watching this, thank you. But after that, yeah, I didn't need the nipple shield at all, and he directly breastfed all the way up until I breastfed Malachi for about a little over 18 months. I want to say he was like 20 months when he was officially weaned. And then I did all of that with me losing I didn't lose my supply. I had a low supply on my left breast, and my right breast, it maintained, it was fine. So I mostly fed him from the right. And so, yeah, and then once I went back to work, because I went back to work PRN, I was pumping at work. And so then I had the milk bags and everything else. And yeah, so that was Malachi's journey. And so Malachi's journey is part of the reason why I wanted to exclusively pump, because it was really difficult to get him to wean. Like, he did not want to wean at all. And by the time he was 1.5, I was just like, I need my body back. I'm ready for my body back. But then not only that, but then I had stopped him from biting at that point. So Malachi, when he would fall asleep, he would bite. And also sometimes if I wasn't paying attention, he would bite. And I was not a fan of that at all. But, so yeah, but I ended up weaning him at about a little over 18 months. And yeah, that was Malachi. And so now for Jeremiah's journey. So Jeremiah's journey, so this breastfeeding series will mostly be about Jeremiah's journey. However, here's a little background, because I know that you guys know that he went to the NICU after birth. We didn't get a chance to do skin to skin until the next day. I pumped within hours after birth. I got 3 syringes of breast milk. I sent like 3 syringes down. I pumped every 3 hours. Occasionally I went 3.5 because if I overslept or didn't hear my alarm. But for the most part, by the time I went home from the hospital, my milk had kicked in and I was producing a pretty good amount. And so the milk production was there. I already had made up my mind prior to giving birth to Jeremiah that I was going to exclusively pump. I watched YouTube videos about women that pump exclusively, and I made up my mind that that was what I was going to do, because I wanted other people to have a chance to feed him. So it wasn't just solely me, and I could actually step away if I needed to. You know, I didn't have to be the only person to feed him. And then also, because I had a difficult time weaning Malachi, I was like, well, it'll be a lot easier to wean him or to even, you know, when I want to stop breastfeeding, if he doesn't get used to it, you know, directly breastfeeding, then it would be easier to, you know, switch over to formula. Like if I just decide right now I don't want to breastfeed anymore, all I have to do is switch out his milk, or not switch it out, but just give him a full bottle of formula, and that's it. I don't have to worry about him having a preference for my milk like I did with Malachi. But Malachi was really sad because he would cry and he would say he wanted milk, and it was just, yeah, it was hard. So, but we did. And then let's see, I had to supplement with Jeremiah. I have to. I'm still supplementing with Jeremiah because he's premature, and so he was 6 weeks premature, and he needs those the extra calories, the protein, and all that for growth. And so yeah, so I'm still supplementing. The doctor says that we probably can stop supplementing at 4 months, but NICU recommended 4 to 6 months of supplementation. So we'll see where his weight gain is at when we go back to the doctor. But yeah, we potentially will be moving off of, he's on NeoSure right now. So hopefully we'll move off of NeoSure. But yeah, so that's what we're doing, NeoSure. And then we can also do like the 1-to-1 too. The doctor told us before we left. So lately here, that's what I've been doing, because I'm pumping, but I'm not pumping as regimented as I was before. I was when he first got, well, since he was born, I was doing every 3 hours, but as he's gotten bigger, as you can see, like it's hard to have, you know, to pump and holding him like this. So so my pumping has been spaced out, but I'm still producing. I'm just not overproducing. So now I just make up a pitcher of formula, and then I'll put like 1.5 ounces of the regular formula or the NeoSure in there, and then I'll do 1.5 ounces of my breast milk, and then just mix it and then feed him. But exclusively pumping is definitely a labor of love. Like it's tough, like especially in the beginning, because you know you just had a baby, you're tired, you're exhausted, you're going down to the NICU, you're trying to go every 3 hours, you know, you're hurting, and you know the cramps are bad. You just feel all kind of crazy after birth. But you have to wake up and pump every 3 hours, and it's tough, especially when you just want to lay on your belly and go to sleep and sleep through the night. And then cleaning the pump parts, you got to clean those like right afterwards, or right after you pump. That's best practice. And then once he came home, it was more difficult to do. Actually, not even when he came home, just in general, it was difficult to pump every 3 hours, because when he wasn't home, you would, you know, it takes you some time to wake up, and then once you wake up, you know, you cook everything up, you pump for like 15 to 30 minutes, and yeah, 15 to 30 minutes, and then after you pump, you know, you put it in the bags, you seal them, you put them, you know, either in a cooler or a lunchbox like I do or whatever, or the refrigerator or the freezer or whatever. You put them away. That's the point. You put them away. And then, you know, you rinse your parts out or you wash your parts, and then by the time you go back to sleep, you roughly get like another hour and a half before it's time to wake up and do it all over again. And then when the baby gets home, you know, you're tired, you know, so you're tired because you're getting up every 3 hours anyway, because you're used to it. But then, you know, when you have a crying baby, you got to feed the baby, you got to change his diaper, you got to get him back to sleep. And so if he's feeding, you know, that's at least 20 minutes, 15, let's say 15 to 30. So it's the same process, but only difference is you got to add in a pumping session. So you feed the baby 15 to 30 minutes, you burp him. Now, you know, that takes time. That's why it's 30 minutes. So you got to burp him, feed him, and then after that, you got to change his diaper, or before or after, change his diaper, you rock him back to sleep. You hope that you can lay him down and he doesn't wake back up. And then once you get him laid down, and then you have to do the pumping part. So you've already been up for at least, what, an hour, maybe an hour and 15 minutes. So then, you know, you pump for your 15 to 30 minutes, and then you clean your parts, you put your milk in the bags, and then you go put them you put the bags in the refrigerator, you lay down, hopefully the baby's still asleep, and then you have roughly about an hour, hour and a half before you have to wake up and do it all over again. And it doesn't get better until they start sleeping a little bit longer during the night. Which right now Jeremiah is going 4 to 5 hours. It just kind of depends on his day. But so yes, so it is a labor of love. It is a labor of love. But at the end of the day, what's your breastfeeding journey looks like, whether you tried and you couldn't, like I did with MJ, whether you know, had some difficulties or challenges in the beginning, but had a successful journey at the end, or whether you choose to exclusively pump. And I will say I do occasionally latch him, but it's not often because he's not used to it. And yeah, he doesn't always latch. It would make life easier, but nevertheless, whether you decide to exclusively pump, the most important thing is each baby being fed. Fed is best at the end of the day. It doesn't matter if that's formula, a mixture of formula and breast milk, or just breast milk only. Just feed the baby. Whatever gives you sanity, whatever is best for you and your journey, like, it does not matter. At the end of the day, they just want to eat. And formula has been proven over the years to do what it needs to do, help them grow, fills their bellies, and they like it. And breast milk, same thing. And if you have to supplement, guess what? They get the best of both worlds. So it's the biggest thing I just want everybody to take away from this video and future videos is that fed is best. However that looks, fed is best. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you will stick around and subscribe and watch my other videos that will be coming out in relation to breastfeeding and all of the things that comes with breastfeeding. Make sure that you hit the subscribe button, your notification bell, and also like the video. If you this video or any of my videos, honestly, if you watch them and you like what they're about, or you've gotten something useful from them, or you could just identify with me, just hit the like button. That lets me know, hey, my viewers that are watching this video, they like something that happened in that video. So, and I appreciate the support as well.